How do I change? I think the source is correct, isn't it? Yeah, okay, cool. Let's check that we are working. Yeah, we're live. Okay, cool. So it's day 2 of building products till we get to $1 million in revenue. So we're going to continue with the speech to text app that we were building yesterday. We got to the point yesterday where we had something working. It wasn't perfect by any means, but we kind of have a very basic MVP for the product. So you've got the little UI here. You can hit your hotkey, which for me is Command-Shift-R currently, and it will then output the text. So let's just demonstrate that again. Testing that the transcription works correctly. Do that, and then it should end up. Nope, didn't end up. Oh, yeah, I know what I did wrong. So currently need to be focused on the applications. Let's try that again. Testing that the transcription is working, and then we get the text out, which is cool. But there's lots of UI issues, lots of UX issues, and there's various features that we still need to build. Okay, so let's actually look at where we got to yesterday. So user story 1 is entirely implemented, and we have the tests for user story 1 that all pass. Whether they're good tests or not, we don't know. I've not actually looked at the code. So we're going to go ahead and start with user story 2. Again, it entirely ignored the constitution of doing TDD first and just started doing its own thing yesterday. So we'll try and enforce that a bit more today. But in theory, for user story 2, there's only one more thing to implement plus the tests as well. So I don't know exactly what. Okay, choose and configure the transcription model. Okay, so let's go ahead and get Claude using our spec-driven development to implement the user story 2, hopefully using the test-driven development that we asked it to do and that we have in our constitution. Okay. Yes, I don't know why it needs to change directory, but go for it. So yeah, so now we've actually got something. I'm hoping that we can speed through the implementation of these features. Like configuring the model should be fairly straightforward to do. Same for the customizing of the hotkeys. Although, I mean, I can kind of already do that from what I can see. Conflict detection, dynamic hotkey registration. I'm not entirely sure what that is. Visual recording feedback, so that's going to be the UI, which will be really useful because it's not entirely clear what's going on at the moment. That's user story 4. User story 5, target window selection, that'll be good as well. And then we get to the polishing phase where we can actually make it look good and work well. Okay. So it's checking the requirements. So again, we're using a thing called Specify, which is from GitHub, and we're using spec-driven development. So you have this Specify folder here. You have this constitution file, which we created the other day. It's all automatically created by the prompting. And you have your core constitutions or like principles, the way that you want to build this application. And you can see here our first one is TDD, but it entirely ignored that yesterday when it was actually building the features, which is annoying. So we have a requirements file somewhere as well. Yeah, requirements.md for our voice input. So one thing that's not great, I don't think, in the way that this kind of spec stuff works is we basically described the entire application to the spec and it created a single kind of spec and requirements plan, I guess, which means it's all going to get done in one. Maybe that's just kind of when you first start, it all does it in one go. In the future, I prefer to kind of have smaller features, do it on a single branch, get that feature working correctly, merge it, and then make sure it's all working. Okay, well, it's already started doing stuff. It's not doing TDD by the looks of it. I can tell you that now. Let me see if I can ask it. Are you following the fusion.md file doing TDD first, for example? Hopefully that's going to read my message and actually start based on these things, because again, it's basically just doing T07. Yeah, I mean, so it's basically just jumped. It's jumped into user story 4 for whatever reason. Why it would jump to user story 4 when user story 2 is not even complete, I have no idea. So yeah, that just seems bizarre. Like, I don't know where it's got that from. I don't know whether this is like in its memory or something. I mean, I don't think it is, no. So what does it actually do then? It checks the prerequisites. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that this doesn't even say, like, look at the Constitution or anything. It's just implement the stuff, which is a bit crap, really. I would assume that the implement here would, at the very least, like, following the rules in the Constitution, because otherwise I don't know how Claude looks or knows to use the Constitution, basically. So no wonder that it's skipping things like TDD. I don't think it even has stuff here. I mean, it does, yeah, it does mention the Constitution there, but okay, I mean, so it's talked about that a bit. Okay, hold on. Make sure we follow the Constitution. Let's please start with what was user story 2, was it? As that still needs finishing. To go through them in order. So again, it's just one of those things where it's just kicked stuff off, right? And it's not really followed what I would expect. And that's probably the spec-driven stuff rather than just Claude. And to be honest, what I need to do, certainly going forward, is to use branches and commits, because currently this is all just one commit. We probably should have committed yesterday so that we know where we're starting today. Yes, you can do that. But now it's doing user story 4, so I guess we'll just let it keep going. Why it started on that one. Okay, so now it's doing user story 2. Right. Okay. So it finished those ones. It's now pivoting to user story 2 in order. Right. Hopefully it gets this done correctly. We shall see. Okay. I wonder if anyone has hacked my claw yet. Okay, so he's going to change it. Interesting. Yeah. Don't know whether there's anything else interesting on Hacker News at the moment. Again, it's one of those things where what do you do while Claude's doing all your work for you? So yeah, it would definitely be interesting to play around with the multi-agent side of things. So currently I just use one agent. I don't know how Claude multi-agents work for things like branching and avoiding conflicts and stuff, whether you can do that. Yeah, okay, so I'm not sure that sub-agents was what I was thinking of. Ah, it's actually working today. Lovely. Okay. Because yeah, I do wonder whether like you can have a workflow that is kind of like self-correcting, I guess, in terms of the code that it writes. So I guess we'd have to do the specs. You'd then have Claude doing the implementation. You could then have the zoom out a bit here. So that'd be your feature. You would then have a like code review. And then even you could perhaps even have like a manual testing agent. So I wonder whether you could have kind of the concept of the sub agents doing this kind of thing. And then that ultimately comes back to the spec. Like that. With sub agents, or because this is kind of what Claude Bot does, right? It's essentially just kind of running a task in a loop, and it just loops back to the start. Has cron jobs. Obviously, it's got a lot more than that basic thing, but that's kind of the fundamental way that it works. I guess we go ask Claude, right? It's the way of the modern world. Don't think, just ask AI. Okay, let's picture this. Yeah, that's what I want. Let's see what Claude says, eh? So still running through stuff. I have literally no idea what it's doing at the moment. So again, this kind of feedback loop is not particularly great. So now we're on user story 4. It's just burnt through user story 2. Apparently all tests are done. Same for user story 3. It's going through user story 4. I guess we'll just let it go, and then once it hands stuff back to us, we can actually check it all, see what it's done, and make sure that it's working as we expect. I mean, like these, again, like it's totally ignored this stuff of like the execution order and stuff, because it just started to do phase 4 after phase 2 had not been done and all this kind of stuff. Again, totally ignored this. Oh, I wonder what if that's popping up because I've got it open. Yeah, I need to close that. Okay. Stop popping up all the time. Yeah, so we're already on user story 5 now, apparently. So yeah, I think a much nicer thing would be to have it do one feature, it say that it's done, or create an MR, and then move on to the next feature, rather than just kind of burning through all these user stories. Don't get me wrong, it's nice that it's able to do this, but the flow doesn't seem particularly great from a development point of view and from a like user testing point of view. Because now I'm basically going to get this like fully featured app assuming it works. It didn't work yesterday. I had to give it some help and go through like all these, tons of features in one go rather than doing it incrementally. Although I guess that means we can, leave it to run overnight. If we have a nice workflow where it can pick up issues and all that kind of stuff, it'll be nice. But yeah. Okay, let me just have a look here. I mean, that's kind of ironic that issues that say no testing, but it does TDD. Whereas for me, it didn't even bother doing TDD when it's core principle. Yeah. Okay, let's get called to write some subagents. Yeah, okay, so again, it's another feature of Claude agent teams. Okay. Yeah, okay, so the agent teams is kind of an interesting way of thinking about it as well. I guess we can try that in another project, agent teams. I guess we'll try the sub-agents, then we can try agent teams, see how they both work, and what we end up with. Again, there's so many features and stuff involved in all this in Claude Code and general vibe coding space. It's super interesting to see what's working, what's not, and the ideas that people are coming up with. So what have we actually got here then? Okay, so what is this? Spec validator. Okay, so that will validate that our spec matches constitution. Implementer. Okay. Okay, so yeah, I mean that kind of all makes sense to me in terms of potential loop. I guess we can try it out once we've got something going with this project. I'm just thinking about like long term how this would work. It would be interesting to have it basically create a pull request straight away when it starts a feature. It starts adding stuff to the pull request. The reviewer then reviews the pull request, writes the comments and stuff that need changing, then gets picked up by the spec or the like coding agent, I guess the implementation agent, reads those, fixes them, do that in a loop until you have no issues. Then you merge the MR, assuming testing and stuff works. Might be an interesting way of doing it. Might be overkill as well, to be honest. Just need to kind of think about how we have these workflows working. Currently, obviously, we're just doing a single agent with Specify. It's running through everything. I'm never having to test anything myself. It just kind of says it's done. Obviously, we have to do manual testing and make sure that it's all working. But if it gets to the point where we actually have what we want, that's amazing. I definitely need to be better on the spec side of things and breaking stuff down into single features rather than what we've got now, where we've got like 8 user stories, 8 phases, because it's just chundering through all of these. And there's no guarantee that we're even remotely correct here at this point because there's no testing beyond the automated testing. But I think as we saw the other day, the chances of this automated testing being accurate is pretty slim. But we'll see what we get. Again, I'm experimenting with all this kind of stuff. Still very new to vibe coding, and it feels weird not writing any code, but This is the potential future, being the prompt engineer rather than the software engineer. So we're on phase 8 now. By the looks of it, it's not done anything yet. Interestingly, in phase 8, we don't have any test cases, but that seems bizarre. But it seems to be working through those things. It seems to have done every other phase with user story, every single task. It will be interesting to see what we actually have. But yeah, I do certainly think that kind of a human in the loop is still very much required. Obviously, we'll see what we get once it's done all of phase 8. But I mean, as we saw yesterday, like the tests were not written. We had to prompt it a few times with error messages to get it to actually work for phase 1. It had implemented loads of stuff from other phases that probably weren't needed and maybe caused issues for getting phase 1 actually working. But we shall see. So yeah, then maybe we can try this kind of dev loop with some other features, or maybe the next project that we kick off. Again, I probably want to do more than one project at a time, given that the majority of my time is just sat here waiting and granting permissions while it's doing all this implementation stuff. Yes, you can do cargo build. It would also be nice if there's a way that we can just auto grant permissions every time. Because that would be nice, because that would speed up a little bit and make me not need to click yes every time it wants to do that. Okay, so we can grant most things by the looks of it. Yeah, I mean, it's probably pretty dangerous to do, but okay, so let's create one of these because that's really useful. And then as and when we see what commands it wants to run. not spelled correctly, but we can add them. Is that what it looks like? Yeah, I think so. Okay, cool. So we'll see how that works out. We can add them as and when. I guess we'll add cargo now because we know that's one that it needs. But you can definitely see how this is potentially so dangerous, right? You can get Claude to write its own permissions in theory. And it can basically grant itself whatever permissions it wants. Obviously, we're granting it. I mean, that one can potentially be quite dangerous, but same with copy. I don't know why it needs copy, to be honest, but yeah, in fact, we don't need those ones because there's no need for them. Okay, where are we with phase 8 then? Let's have a look, shall we? Apparently nothing has been done so far. Okay, so it's done 3. No, it's done 5 apparently. So yeah, again, I think that would be much nicer to be done one per, like check one off, then pick up the next one rather than doing it in bulk like that. I don't think that's a particularly nice workflow. All things that I'm sure we can iron out and get working correctly. I don't know whether it says anything about that in the implementation one. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's doing that kind of thing. Yeah, again, it's like it was all really cool, but it just doesn't seem to follow its own instructions, which I guess we know it's not deterministic, so it's always going to be a bit like that, but it is a bit frustrating as a user to not know exactly what's going on, really. But I mean, if it can do it all, who am I to complain? If it can write all this code, get it all working for me, I can sit back and be even more lazy than I am currently. But yeah, as I said, like the guy that wrote Claudebot, he basically just ships everything now, so doesn't look at the code, and he's got a job at OpenAI now. So who's right? Probably him over me at the moment. So we look fairly close. I mean, according to this, it's done. I mean, there's still some checkboxes not checked, which I don't quite understand, but okay, so that's fair enough as to why those haven't been done. Okay, so let's boot it up and see what we actually have. Okay, so we still have the same UI, which looks crap, but we can change that in the future. Okay, so we can select the model, perhaps. I mean, that UI is terrible, but it has changed the model. Okay. The hotkeys, we can still change these, right? So Command Shift W, yeah. Command Shift R, yes. Okay, I mean, so it's got a list of all the stuff that is there, which is good. I mean, that close doesn't work, but it's not what I was expecting. It's a target window, Command Shift T. It doesn't actually do anything. Okay, well, let's see what happens, right? Testing 1, 2, 3. Because I don't know which target window that was, but oh, we actually have a UI. Okay. Ah, okay, awesome. So that does work, right? Okay, so we get some form of UI, which doesn't look great, but it's working. Okay. So the target window thing doesn't work as I was expecting. I was expecting it to do the recording and then like give you the option as to which window you actually want. So we need to fix that. We need to fix the model selection. We need to make the UI way nicer. Recording mode isn't currently a selection, whether that's meant to be like that. No, not that one. Command Shift V. Push to talk. I am talking, and now I'm now going to release. I mean, that didn't do anything. Push to talk. Are we recording? No, we are not. Okay, so that doesn't work. Okay, so how do we want to do this then? Right. Okay. Yeah, so I'm not sure whether we should prompt it here to fix some stuff or create new specs. This is the thing, like, at this point, stuff hasn't worked. So what do we need to do? What's the correct way to run this? Let's ask, shall we? Yeah, because that, I mean, that kind of assumes that it just gets it done on one shot, right? Yeah, so I guess I'm kind of still in 0 to 1 greenfield phase. We will move to iterative enhancement, I guess. Yeah, okay, right. I'm just going to go take a quick break. I'll be back in a couple of minutes. Scenes. That one. Okay, mute. Okay, we're back. What's going on with my hair? Right then, so where did we get to? I've got a viewer apparently. Hello, viewer. Welcome to the stream. Okay. So we got to the point where it thinks it's done all the stuff it can do, but a lot of the features are not working. And we've kind of run into an issue with Specify in that because it's failed to do various things correctly, the Specify workflow doesn't really handle that kind of use case. So I think we're just going to have to manually prompt it to get it to do what we need it to do. So I guess the first thing is model selection is just terrible UX. Hotkeys work, but push to talk does not work. Text injection, we've only got one option there. The target window stuff does work, but again, I wasn't really expecting it to be kind of like this is a UI. I was expecting a nice UI like that. So I guess we can work through them one by one. The model selection thing is not a big issue, I guess. Let's try with a new model because it is very slow. Whether that downloads, okay, we get no symbol there or anything to see that's downloaded. We just get an error, lovely jubbly. Just random errors, wonderful. Okay, so it has seemed to have worked, but I'm guessing that error is already downloading or something. Okay, so I need to change this mode. Clear this. Target active window, right. So we can actually try and dog food to try and use it. Okay, so I guess hello viewers. What we're building today is speech to text using AI tools. We are using GitHub Specify to attempt to build this, but we've kind of hit a point where we've run through all the specs we've currently got, but there's quite a few bugs, and Specify doesn't really have a clean way to fix them. So let's start by fixing the UI for when you select a model. So currently you click activate, you don't know anything's happened, you go back and then it says it's changed. Ultimately, when we click activate, we want to know what the active model is. And to be honest, I also think that this UI should just be kind of a drop down. Actually, let's ignore the drop down. Let's just do you click activate, you know what the active model is, and then you can see it's happen instantly. And we'll also fix the download button as well. So in the UI for the model selection, when you click activate on a model, we need to see that the model has been activated rather than having to click back into the main UI to see that it's activated. We should also update the download button to have a loading symbol when we click download to make sure that we see that the model is downloading and that we can't click the download button while it is downloading. Okay, so it's processing now. This takes way too long. We definitely need to fix that processing of the text. Okay, so it has worked. It's just very slow. We definitely need to fix that because that is not good. Okay. So yeah, fairly new to streaming. So please let me know if there's any issues. Please do chat, ask me any questions. I will try and answer stuff. As I said, still fairly new to this. So Not entirely sure how it all works, how to make sure you can all talk. Cool. I think it's working. Let me know if not. So yeah, let's see what happens here. So again, like the Specify thing is kind of, it's good to start off with, and I do like the idea behind it, but I don't think it's quite good enough for continued development. But we'll see. So now, so we're in plan mode apparently, but we're still doing polishing and cross-cutting concerns, which I don't quite understand why we're doing that. Okay, clear issues. So yeah, a few things we definitely need to fix here. I guess we should really make a note of them because I will definitely forget otherwise. So we've got, what have we got? The model selection. Can't see what's active in the option mode. We have the issue with download doesn't show it's downloading. Can spam the button. We also have push to talk doesn't work. What else? The target window selection is terrible. I think they're the main ones for the moment. Obviously, the UI needs a lot of work, but I kind of consider that. Once we've got the core functionality down, we can make the UI nice. Oh, and the performance of the transcription was terrible. I don't know whether that's just the model that we've got is not particularly quick, or whether it's my hardware. So yeah, we're currently just using Whisper, which is OpenAI's model, but I think there's some better ones like, I think Parakeet is meant to be a very good one. We can have a look at Hugging Face and see what's recommended. So, okay, so model card UI feedback improvements. When a user clicks activate on a model in the model page, the is active prop doesn't update because it's driven by preferences. Yeah, okay. Changes. Add loading state to use models hook. Yes, sensible. Yeah, that makes sense. Wire up to also reload preferences. Yes. Update model card to show loading states. Update tests. TDD. Write test first. Yes. Yes. Okay. I think we're happy with that. Let's get it to go ahead and keep working. So hello, if anyone is watching, please do feel free to ask any questions. Currently building text to speech, speech to text to help me vibe code without having to type. This is the first little product I've built. I know there's lots of these that exist currently, but I thought this would be a good one to start off with, not expecting this to be a product that makes any revenue, really. Probably just give it away for free, to be honest. But if we can vibe code a working product that I can use that is pretty slick and looks good, I'll be pretty happy. Only really been vibe coding for a couple of hours now. I think I did 2.5 hours yesterday. I think I'm on about an hour today. We've already got something kind of working, which is great. Again, I'm not actually looking at any of the code or touching any of the code. As part of this kind of project, and the way that I'm working in these is that I'm avoiding writing and editing code. I want to focus just on the vibing and the product side of things rather than diving deep into the code, as I think when the models get better, that will be the kind of standard way of working, I think. Potentially, we'll see what the code quality is like and how the apps actually work. We'll see. I mean, based on that performance issue, we may need to dive into the code a bit, but we'll see. But yeah, feel free to ask questions, chat away. More than happy to answer any questions that you've got. I'm not sure why the category is education, but is what it is. Seems to have ignored lots of the stuff that I put into the main OBS thing, but as I say, still new to all of this stuff, so we'll see. Can I go to chat here? I don't know. Okay, there we go. Hello, HP Captures. Thanks for joining the stream. Let me know if you've got any questions. More than happy to answer anything and chat about what we're doing. So, apparently we have fixed those issues according to Claude. Let's see what actually changed. So go to models now. If we click activate, it is activating and we see that it's active. Okay, much nicer UI there. If we download, we see downloading. I can't spam the button, which is good. Oh, I can spam the button. Oh, I think that was probably me spamming the delete button. Okay. So that's much nicer. Very good job there, Claude. Awesome. Okay, so I think we can say that one's done. Okay, so can we please add the model names to the model selection so that we can see what the actual model is rather than just the specific data of the model? So yeah, this performance is really bad and that really needs fixing. I mean, I don't know whether we can do it as I'm talking so that it's just instant. I guess we can ask about that and see what Claude can do. Hello, Stiff. Thanks for joining the stream. Feel free to get involved, ask any questions. More than happy to answer and talk through what I'm doing. So yeah, currently building the speech-to-text app to help with building future products, basically. This is the first one that I'm doing. More as a kind of experimenting with streaming and vibe coding. I've done a bit of vibe coding in the past, just on personal little projects, but I've just done it kind of ad hoc and never really been particularly structured. Certainly not building products that I would want to ship to other people either. Okay, so that's apparently fixed it already. Let's have a look. No, I don't think that has fixed it. So we need to reset. No, that's not what I wanted. For the model name, I was expecting to see Whisper or Parakeet, for example, on the models themselves so that I can understand which model we're actually using rather than just large V3 Turbo or small English. So yeah, we've got the little pill here. Doesn't look great, I don't think. Definitely that fixing as well. Lots of things to work on, but for 3 hours of vibe coding, not too bad, I don't think. So yeah, did use Specify to start off with, but we kind of run into an issue where once you've done the kind of full spec of Specify and it's implemented all the user stories, if they don't work, you're kind of at a point where you're stuck because you can't then use Specify to fix them, because that kind of implies that you start an entirely new spec. But again, just experimenting with Specify on this little project, trying to work out what the best workflow is for vibe coding. So if you guys have ever worked on any vibe coding yourselves, let me know what kind of workflows you use, what works well for you guys. Whisper, but there's no field to surface that. Okay. Yep, adding the model name, awesome. Exactly what I wanted. So yeah, I was also looking at adding sub-agents as well so that we can do like code review via an agent and all that kind of stuff. Not done any of that yet, but maybe we'll add those later on in a future stream. The goal now is just to kind of get it working basically, and that's done it. Cool, we've got Whisper there. Why we've now lost all the models, I don't quite know. I think that's broken something there. What does it want to do? It wants to run cargo test. Yes, you can run cargo test. I thought I gave it permission to run cargo commands. It should have permission to do that. Don't know what it's asking. So yeah, currently traveling at the moment, so just got my laptop. So the setup's not particularly great. Only got one screen. Does make things a little bit more cramped, so apologies for that. Okay, so apparently we've changed the back end. We've added the model family. Yeah, Whisper. Front end, we've done that. Okay, let's have a look at what it looks like then. Added Whisper. Apparently now we've lost all the models, so let's download the model. Okay, so it's lost all the active stuff that we had. Oh, okay, no, it's back now. Oh, I guess when you only got one model, there's no point in having an activate option because you can only activate one. Okay, so UI is not great, but the core functionality that we want there seems to be there, which is good. Okay, so model selection I think we're fine with at the moment, so we can probably check that off the little document that I had, wherever that was. Yeah, okay. That needs to be a thing in the future as well. That's a longer term feature, adding different models. So that's also fixed. Okay, so push to talk doesn't work currently. So the idea behind push to talk, so currently I do Command Shift R and then it pops up the little pill, starts recording, and then you push Command Shift R again and it will stop recording. Push to talk is basically you hold it and then you release, but that doesn't seem to work. So push to talk now, Command Shift, I mean it can be the same hotkey, right. Testing push to talk, testing push to talk. Yeah, see, it doesn't really do anything. And you see here we get recording false, which is not correct. Okay, so let's go back to that. Okay, we need to fix that UI as well. Actually, let's do that, shall we? So in the hotkeys menu, you can use. Hold on. I guess one of the problems is when you stumble on stuff, and then the long processing, not great. Definitely need to fix that performance. Right. In the hotkeys menu, you should only be able to select toggle recording or push to talk. So when you toggle one, the other should toggle off. Okay. In the hotkeys menu, yep. Okay. So the big one we need to fix as well as performance, because that is terrible. It needs to be lightning quick, but we can look at that. Is the screen recording set up right? That's a good question. I don't know. Hopefully you can see. Oh no, it's a bit close, isn't it? Let me see if I can fix that. Does that fix it? Because yeah, that kind of looks like it's not correct. Yeah, if anyone knows how I fix that, please do let me know. As far as I can see, it's scaled to window. Like on this scale, it looks correct, right? No, it doesn't actually, does it? Let's try and fix this. Oh, that's gone totally bonkers. Okay, so no, that needs to be 100%, right? What is going on here? Right. Yeah, this is totally wrong, isn't it? Let me see if I can create a new scene. So let me delete this scene. No, that's not what I wanted. Yeah, sorry about this. It looks like I've totally broken it. Yes, sorry about this. How have I done this? Right. So I haven't added any video sources yet. Under, where was it? Under the sources box. Yes, right. Yeah, I want to screen capture. Okay, yeah. we definitely want display capture. Okay, because you can only see like the top left of my screen, right? You can't see everything, which is not great. Okay, sorry about this. As I say, I'm still new to streaming. Just trying to work out how to get set up correctly. It's not going well. See, I would have thought that that would fix it. I mean, that just changes the screen. Ah, okay, is that? Okay. So I think what we actually want to do, is basically that, right? So you should now be able to see the full screen. It's not perfect, but we should be able to see that. And then we can scale it up, right? Okay, so that should be better. It's not quite correct. So I do apologize about that. Let me put my face back in, even though it's probably not what you want to see, but how do I do that? Video capture device, probably. Yep, definitely don't want that full screen. Okay, that's probably better, right? Okay, better. Right, sorry about that. I mean, I will try and I'll do some research after the stream and try and work out what was wrong and fix it for the next stream. As I say, I'm currently traveling, so only on my small little MacBook here. So in the future, we will have a nice setup going. Okay, back to the vibing. Okay, so hopefully it's made the change now where if I do that, yes, perfect. So now we can, in theory, push to talk. Okay, but that still doesn't work. Push to talk, you still get recording false. So let's change that back and let's get it to fix it. When you select push to talk and hit the hotkey, it does not record anything. In the output as well, we still get response no op and is recording is false. Okay. So yeah, performance is really terrible. We definitely need to fix that. I think I did use, what is it, Mac Whisper, is it? I think it's called Mac Whisper, which is basically like a fully fledged version of this product. Maybe it wasn't this one. It was one fairly similar to that, and it was basically instant. You would unhit the recording button and it would transcribe instantly and be in your terminal. I do believe that was using Parakeet, which I think is a Hugging Face model. So we can probably add those in as well in the future, which might fix performance issues. But until we diagnose them and work out exactly what's going on, we'll just have to put up with the slow transcription. Cool. So yeah, but if anyone themselves has done any vibe coding, let me know what your kind of workflows are. Got any questions about what I'm building, why I'm doing it, all that kind of stuff, please do put them in the chat and I will answer them. So yeah, in terms of the tech stack for this project so far, it's using something called Tory, I don't know exactly how you pronounce it, which is basically a Rust version of Electron, which allows you to build cross-desktop or cross-platform applications. It's built in Rust and it's got a React front end. I thought I'd use this just to avoid me doing any of the coding. So if I used Electron, it would all be JavaScript, and I'm pretty familiar with JavaScript, so I can kind of get involved in the code. But I've never written any Rust personally. As much as I would like to have learnt it, it's not had time. So I've used Rust in this project so that I can't get involved and kind of fix issues myself and have to vibe code them unless I want to spend the time learning and reading about Rust and kind of digging into that, which I don't particularly want to do at the moment. Focusing more on the product side of things and the using AI tooling to build products to see whether we can make any revenue and kind of build a business around that. Ambitious, I know, but we'll see what happens. Okay, so apparently it has fixed push to talk. Let's give it a go. Testing push to talk. Okay, I mean, it seemed to do something, but not what I was actually expecting. Okay, so we do get the text. Hold to record, release to transcribe. So yeah, that's what I was expecting, but if I press the key and then release, okay, that did work. Maybe it didn't actually toggle correctly though. Let's do it again. Push to talk, I'm now releasing the button. Okay, so that works correctly. And I assume it transcribes. Yep, good. But I don't think it actually switched to the mode correctly when I did that. So if we do it again, is this push to talk or toggle? Oh no, okay, so it did. It seems to be working correctly now. Okay, awesome. So another one we have fixed then. Target, yeah, so the target window stuff does not work at all as I was expecting. So the target window feature that I'm talking about here is basically what I wanted to do was when you hit record, currently it will go to the active window, but that's great, but you then have to kind of go to the active window first. And I thought it'd be cool if you could hit record and then as it finishes the transcription, you could select the window like this. That way, if you're on the inactive window or you want to change window, you can do. But currently the UI for that is a bit crap. You basically have to either do active window, which is the default, or you select it via here. But obviously you can't tell which version of the terminal you're using here, which Chrome. So that's a bit shit, basically. So let's try and describe how we can fix this. Also, I mean, the UI is a bit crap here as well. So what was the feature called again? Target window, right. For target window, the UI needs to be similar to the Command Shift tab on a Mac OS. So a pop-up window where you select the window after the recording rather than having to select the active window or application before recording. Now, whether that actually makes sense to Claude, I don't know. We will see what it says. Let me just clear the terminal here. Okay, yeah, so it's understood exactly what I mean. Yes, it is a significant UX change, because otherwise the target window thing is totally pointless, because having to select it before, you might as well just go to the active window. Yeah, and the UI needs work as well. It's very, very basic. We can also add in an icon, tray icon as well, which will be good. Add that to the list. Add menu icon for recording. Yeah. Yeah, and I think this kind of pill is not great as well. I mean, it looks okay, but I would like a more interesting animation here. I'm not sure positioning is right as well. It'd be good if you could move it as well. And then the processing thing, again, we need to fix performance on that because that's crap. But we shall see. But yeah, it seems to work reasonably well. How it would work for writing code, I don't know, but maybe that's something we can add and look at in the future. I guess we'd probably have to run it through an LLM of sorts to say, right, you know, if I say function reverse string, I wouldn't want to then say parentheses and all that kind of stuff. So you'd have to have an LLM that would work out what you mean by writing a function like that. But as I say, I'm not planning on writing code with this just yet, more vibe coding. But maybe that's something that we can look at adding in the future if people use the product. Okay, should the window picker completely replace the currently selection approach? Read the target window from, okay, so there should be keep both options. Let's go ahead and use my, you should be able to keep the active window option and have the option of the target window. Oh, what's happened there? You should be able to keep the active window option or have the target window selection. What's going on with Claude here? Okay, right. Copy to clipboard or dismiss. Right, hold on. Let me. Okay. You should be able to both have the active window selection option or the target window toggle selection. Is this going to work? Okay. There we go. Yeah. I'm not sure whether this is going to do what I want, but basically what I'm thinking is like it should either be active window or toggle window or target window, basically. I mean, it can probably even be a toggle box, actually. The target window selection can even be a toggle switch as well between active window and window picker, rather than a drop down with the options as we currently have. There we go. That should probably make it clearer that it's, you know, a one or the other. Again, this pill here, we've got this weird kind of extra shadowing at the sides that we need to fix as well. As I say, the UI is not that important for me at the moment. It's more functionality and getting stuff to work as we want. But yeah, considering that I've only been working on this vibe coding for what, like 3 and a bit hours now, I don't think we're doing too bad. And so yeah, future products that we're going to be working on as well. Not necessarily products, but vibe coding things. I'm going to create a small little website that keeps track of the progress of the projects that we can update as and when we're doing them, as well as revenue. And I guess we can also add in like stream views and all that kind of stuff so that we can have some kind of UI to see our progress as well. I'm then also planning on working on probably some content creation products as well. So obviously I'm doing YouTube streaming, but I want to convert some of the stream stuff into perhaps longer form content. Maybe I can create an application that takes a transcript of the stream, breaks it out into segments, and then suggests some segments that might work as a kind of longer form video on the channel. So a good example of this might be if I read an article, for example, about shipping at inference speed and kind of react to that article, then maybe we could clip that and make it a full video on the channel. We could make an AI tool that would do that for us. Might be one tool that we could potentially build. Another one would be something like the shorts generator. Again, similar approach, or a shorts idea generator. So one idea I've got is that I can basically sign up to loads of RSS feeds for various websites for like AI news or tech news, hacker news, that kind of stuff. Every kind of 8 hours or so, take all of those articles, those news stories, stick them into the LLM, get the LLM to kind of work out if there's anything interesting, like any news or anything like that, that could be a TikTok short or a YouTube short, perhaps write a script. I can then record it, make a video, and do that kind of thing. So lots of ideas. What we actually build, we'll see as we go along. But as I say, just starting with this kind of stuff. So it's all very new to me, and certainly new to streaming and all this kind of stuff as well. But I do definitely think that YouTube and social media content creation is definitely a good model to being kind of self-sustaining if you can start to build a business. And hopefully I can do that so that I don't have to go and work for someone else again. As although there's lots of benefits to it, there's obviously lots of downsides, like a lack of freedom and stuff. But we'll see. Very early days so far. Okay, so it's still working on this. To be fair, this is quite a complex feature. To be honest, I don't even know how you would build something like this. Although I guess it does have it doesn't know what the active windows are, so it's more of a UI selection now, I guess, rather than a particular difficult feature to do. Okay, so it's got a plan here. Let's have a look then. Currently, the target window selection happens before recording. Use active window. Yeah. Yes. After transcription. Yeah. Yes, exactly. That's what I want. Yes. Okay. The settings page, target window selection becomes a toggle switch between the two modes. Yes, exactly. Okay, so this is kind of the implementation details now. Replace pinned with window picker in target mode. Okay, yeah. Update inject text. Yes. Okay, so it needs to process so what program is currently running. You then provide the window that you want and it will pass in the text. Good. Copy clipboard. Update library. Yes, I'm fine with all this stuff. Yes. Create picker page. Yeah, we do need that. Add a picker route. Yeah. Okay, so I think that kind of makes sense. Not read it all, but I'm going to trust the old Claude that it knows what it's doing. It seems to be sensible in what it's talking about here. UI wise, I don't know what we're going to get, but we'll see. As I say, the UI is crap at the moment, but we're focusing on the functionality. So we can fix all the UI after we built all the stuff. So yeah, hello to the viewers. Please do reach out and chat. If you've got any questions, want to know anything, anything's not clear, let me know. So yeah, and then on the next project that we do the kind of progress dashboard, I think I'll probably try using the sub agents and maybe doing a different workflow rather than using Speckify, which we used here. and we can see how the subagents work compared to Specify. As I think Specify did a great job to start off with, but we very quickly hit the kind of functionality boundary, I guess you'd call it, where once it's done the spec, if the spec's not correct, there's no clean way to then kind of tell it, hey, look, you need to go and fix this particular thing. So that kind of falls down. I guess you could, if I was a bit more disciplined in terms of the Git branching and stuff, maybe we could then create a new spec and get it to go fix those things. But that seems like a bit of a clunky workflow to get it to work, really. To be honest, just talking to it seems to work pretty well. Yeah, we do have this, like with the Specify, you have this constitution file that kind of lists out some principles in the way that you want to build the code. One of them being like do test-driven development, type safety, domain-driven design, all this kind of stuff. But when we started actually implementing stuff, it just totally ignored all of that. So it just started implementing all the features, didn't write any tests to start off with. So although it seems really good that you build this constitution and have these kind of strict rules, if Claude just totally ignores them, you've kind of just wasted all the time building these rules because they don't get used, which kind of sucks, really. So yeah, we're still working through this picker thing. Whether that's even a feature we need, the picker, but I kind of thought it might be an interesting way of doing it, so we'll see. Because to be honest, the active window thing kind of covers like 95% of your use cases. I guess it's probably fairly rare that you'd be switching between stuff, but maybe you would be. I mean, I guess for me, for example, like if I want to switch between the terminal, I could then switch to this. And, if the chat here was the active window, I could respond to chat with the voice as well, which would be quite cool. So maybe we can use that as a test and see what we get. So yeah, I can't think what the application was that, Super Whisper that I used the other day. I think it was Super Whisper. Let's have a look. Yeah, I think it was Super Whisper, yeah. And so if I do, what was it, option space? Yeah, so you get this really nice kind of UI thing, which looks really cool, way nicer than ours currently. And then the transcription was like, I mean, lightning quick compared to what we've currently got. So way better, but that we can use this as inspiration. I haven't played around with it too much, to be honest, but it's kind of one of the inspirations behind this. To be honest, when I was vibe coding and doing my own things anyway, I wanted to build something like this anyway, and then I kind of discovered all these things exist already, which is unsurprising, but I thought I would do it anyway, as it's an interesting little project. I did actually build one for helping with some like coding tutorial videos that I've done in the past. I've not done them for ages, but one of the most painful kind of processes on that is that when you're recording the audio, if you stumble, for example, you then just you stumble and then you do the next take, but it's all in one recording. So you then have to go and sit and edit that audio, and it takes time. So I kind of had the idea of, you kind of push to talk, you do your take, you then stop, and then you can push to talk again and do the next take. And that way you can kind of overwrite older takes and kind of make it clean and do the edit as you're building the audio, which kind of worked. I vibe coded all of that as well, and that's kind of one of the inspirations behind this text, speech to text thing. Okay, so apparently it's fixed it. Let's go ahead and boot up the application and see what our toggle window. Let's first check that active window works. So testing active window recording. So yeah, processing is so slow. Yeah, okay, so that works. Let's try toggle window recording now. Testing toggle window recording. So now we should hopefully get some kind of UI that allows us to check the active window, and we did not get anything. Okay, so yeah, this is one of the problems with vibe coding and that kind of thing, is that obviously I don't know anything about the code at this point, so I would have no idea how to start to debug this and fix this. So we're going to have to ask Claude to fix it for us, basically. Why the overlay window is hidden, I don't know. Okay, let's pass this into Claude and see what it says. The toggle window selection does not appear at the moment. It currently says window overlay hidden with various other bits of debug output. Okay, so, okay, yeah, the super slow processing is so frustrating. Let me just paste that as well. So maybe the next thing we'll do is look at adding in a parakeet instead, as that seems to be the model that's really fast on this Super Whisper, so parakeet real time. I think we were looking at that earlier, right? Yeah, so this is like super low latency in terms of the transcription, whereas the Whisper one is pretty slow from what I remember. And to be honest, I'm sure there's tons of speech models that exist, yeah, on Hugging Face. So I guess one thing we can probably do, I don't really need to pay for, I assume they've got an API, they must do. Whether we can get a list of all the ones that are available, I guess we can, like most likes and stuff. And then maybe you can just select the ones you want. Okay, we can look at that a bit more. I guess we'll pick that as the next feature to look at, the model selection and model options. Again, the UI is terrible, but we can look at fixing that. Yeah, I assume Whisper is here, yeah. I don't know which one it is, to be honest. I thought it was an OpenAI model. Or maybe those models aren't available on Hugging Face. Anyway, we can decide what approach to take with that. Well, we can let Claude make the decision. Vibe coding is not about thinking; it's about prompting, right? So yeah, do let me know if you're enjoying the stream. I got 0 views yesterday, so anyone watching today is definite improvement. I assume this means we've got 3 viewers currently, which is awesome. And again, let me know if you've got any questions. Okay. Okay, I mean, I would have thought it would have fixed that when I told it to build the feature, but obviously not. So let's now, we'll restart it and close this because we don't need it. Okay, so let's do toggle window. Testing the window picker functionality. Okay, so we get something. Okay, how we select it, I don't know, but I mean, it looks terrible. The scroll doesn't work. Okay, I mean, that kind of worked, right? It was terrible, but it kind of worked. Okay. So a few things there. Yeah, so I guess what we probably need to do is have hotkeys to toggle through those windows. So like when you do command tab, you know, it cycles through like that. So we need a hotkey for that. We also need the icons, I think, and we also need the window to grow correctly with the size of the icon so that we don't have a scroll bar. Okay, so let's do active window again. Okay, great, but there's a few issues with this. Firstly, the window itself needs to grow with the number of icons so that we do not have a scroll bar. The actual icons for the applications need the specific application icon rather than just a kind of placeholder. We also need a hotkey to toggle through the selection and then to pick one. Just the way you do with Command Tab on Mac OS, we need something similar to toggle through and then pick our selected window. And it's so slow. Yeah, definitely need to get the real-time parakeet on that because that's terrible. Okay, but yeah, I feel like I'm a bit in the future at the moment with this kind of vibe coding stuff. It's equally great and equally terrible at the same time, but we're kind of getting somewhere, doing something which is cool. Yes, we will allow it to fetch. So I guess in the permissions stuff, we can add fetch crates.io. And let me ask Claude whether that's a valid way of doing it. I think it's crates.io, right? Yeah. Okay, cool. So So yeah, just basically want to come up with like a set of permissions that allows me not to have to press yes every 10 seconds when it wants to make a request or run something that it kind of needs to run every so often. So gradually building up this permissions file. So yeah, then in terms of other things we need to do, I'll save this as a to-do list. Where are we? Text to code, I think. Yeah. Why did it go to dist? Yeah, so we're currently working on this one, along with the fixing of the target window selection. That's next. Performance. I think it's just the model itself rather than the application. UI needs loads of work, yeah. Okay. We also need to come up with a name of the product. Anyone's got any ideas, let me know. A name and logo. I guess we also need to create a product website as well at some point. We will need to test distro releases. So we'll have to get, is it parallels? I know you can run Windows on a Mac. And we can probably get an Ubuntu distro or something to run on Linux as well. Whether I want to do that or not, who knows? I've only got a Mac, so I guess if we actually want to release it as a product for people to use, then we can try that stuff. Otherwise, I can just keep using it myself. Okay, so apparently everything is working now. Okay, so we are using a window picker. Let's see how this works. Testing the window picker. Let's see what happens. Okay, yep, the processing is so slow and it's so frustrating. Oh, okay, look, that looks cool. And look, when we go, I can scroll through with the arrow keys, which is awesome. And hit enter. Wasn't actually selected on that. Let's try that again. So testing the window picker. Okay, so selecting Chrome. Okay, awesome. That works as expected. So etc Don, engineer who only know few engineering programmers want to learn how to do vibe coding. Yeah, interesting to see someone who knows how to code do their own project with vibe coding. Yeah, exactly. So for context, I've worked as a software engineer for about 10 years now, I think. I left my job about a year and a half ago, did my own little startup for a bit. I'm now doing this kind of streaming stuff, some content creation, trying to start my own little kind of, not necessarily business, but kind of be self-reliant rather than having to get on a job. Obviously, if my savings run out, I will have to. But I've started these streams to kind of vibe code without looking at the code, basically, rather than me trying to build all these applications, writing the code and stuff. I thought it'd be interesting to try and vibe code, see what the quality is like. Like I have watched a few videos with kind of people like the Primogen. I watched one with George Hotz the other day where they're talking about vibe coding and stuff, and they're obviously much better software engineers than I am, but their kind of general consensus was it's super cool, but the quality of code that you get is terrible. And from what I've seen, I kind of agree with that. But there's also the part of me that thinks, you know, most end users don't care about code quality. They only care about does the actual product work. And if vibe coding can build good products, then that works, right? The code doesn't matter if you've got a decent product that works. So we'll see. Okay. So that's pretty cool as far as the UI goes there. The selection is the arrow keys and then enter. So I think I'm fine with that. Maybe we can make that an option to change. Different hotkeys for Windows selection. That's probably a really low priority one though. Okay. So the next thing I want to do is to fix the performance issues. And I think the main thing there will be using the NVIDIA's parakeet one. So let's go ahead and look at how we can do that. The performance of the transcription is really slow. I think we need to try using NVIDIA's parakeet model. Update the model selection to add this model and its various options in. Again, I think it's going to use the Windows selection, which has currently got active. Yep. Awesome. Active window is definitely the one that you generally use, I think, though. So it's now doing some searching of the interwebs to work out what parakeet is. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if when we get parakeet, the performance is similar to what we had with the other Super Whisper, I think it was. If it's not, we're going to have some interesting times working out where the performance problems are. I think it will be down just to the model, to be honest. And then once we've got that, we can look at the UI a bit, because currently it's just kind of basic boilerplate UI. Pretty crappy, to be honest, but we can definitely fix this and improve it, or rather get Claude to do it for us. Yeah, I mean, it's a really good point, etc. Like, I think a big part of it is, yeah, people don't know what good and terrible coding is. And also, if you think about what, all of this stuff's been trained on, it's just all the Git repos and all that code. And I think it's fair to say that the majority of that code is not tasteful, I guess you'd say, and not particularly great. I assume that will improve over time. Like, my assumption is that what kind of Anthropic and those companies will do is they will start getting really nice coding examples and training it more on that rather than just on all open source code, and kind of giving it more taste and kind of understanding of what good code is. How that'll work, I don't quite know, but we'll see. But yeah, as I said, like, ultimately, if you're vibe coding something, like this, I've not looked at the code at all, really. So if it works and it's quick and we can quickly fix issues and stuff, does it matter that the code is crap? It's a good question, right? I think software engineers would say yes, and like my gut feeling is yes, it does matter, because performance and because maintaining the project and all that kind of stuff. But if Claude can do all of that for you, then who knows, right? And to be fair, you do lose the kind of the craft of creating software. Like, certainly when I vibe code and haven't written code in a couple of weeks, I'm definitely a worse coder than I was, and it does introduce kind of a bit of, like, I guess, brain fog where you don't really have to think that much. But we'll see. Yeah, certainly I do enjoy coding, so I don't think I'll ever not code, but it's interesting to play around with these tools and see how they work. Maybe we can even vibe code an LLM or vibe code a Claude Code. I guess we'll see. Are there any products that you would like to see me build? That's a good question. So yeah, so interestingly, it spawned a couple of agents here to research parakeet. What's the current process for the model list? Are we just hard coding them in? Where are we getting the models from? I believe it's from Hugging Face, right? So yeah, I mean, this is a great example, right? I've got literally no idea how it's fetching models. I've never looked at the code. I guess it would be audio. No, that's, I guess it's the engine, but yeah, I mean, again, I've got no idea how it all works, which sucks if you want to look at something or see kind of debug it and stuff, but it's all part of the process of vibe coding. And again, like if you're someone that can't code, this is kind of what you're going to have to be doing, right? I think there's been a couple of instances already where I've had to know like what to do as a software engineer, where if I didn't know that, I would kind of be a little bit stuck in the prompting, and or maybe I would take a lot longer on the prompting and burn a lot more tokens trying to work out what to do. Yeah, I mean, this should have been done already, right? Like, I guess the engine stuff shouldn't have been that different, I wouldn't think. I mean, this is implying that it is very different, but yeah, I mean, it is getting it from Hugging Face by the looks of it. Significant architectural change. ONNX runtime. Completely different inference pipeline. I don't even know what this is, to be honest. ONNX. Okay, so it's like a runtime for LLM stuff, basically. Okay, so there is a Rust one. It's not officially supported, but it seems to be reasonably well maintained in the last 3 days, up to date. So yeah, so I guess it's currently planning to refactor this engine module. So yeah, currently it just loads this. Again, I don't know what GGML model is. I guess that's just a type of MML model. Okay, so it's tensor library, right? Okay, that makes sense. But yeah, this is good that it's identified all these things. Yeah, exactly. That's okay. Yeah, so it does use Hugging Face to download all the models. Downloads it from Hugging Face. Yeah. Okay, but that's going to need to change. We're going to have multiple engines, different interface. I mean, we should have used domain-driven design here, so it shouldn't be too difficult to change this. But again, it totally ignored the constitution and just built this basically. So again, one of the problems that I've found with the vibe coding stuff is that you can, tell it to do TDD, and then it's, a flip of a coin whether it actually does TDD or not, or whether it follows the rules that you give it, which is quite frustrating. Yeah. Okay. Yes, we should be using domain-driven design, so please do make the interfaces and make this extendable rather than what we currently have. Please look at the constitution.md file for the rules as well. Okay, let's see whether that gets us anywhere closer to what we're looking for. ANSYS APDL. I have no idea what that is. Let me have a look, shall we? Parametric design language. Okay, interesting. Oh, Fortran like. Yeah, I mean, that seems pretty old school. Pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, as I say, I'm very new to the whole AI and vibe coding world, basically. My experience as a software engineer was I spent like 3 years as a front end engineer, and then about 7 years as kind of mainly back end. Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. Like, not knowing how to code while coding is it feels very unsafe, right? And yeah, the maintenance, like I think that's one of the big things that is currently overlooked by the whole kind of like, oh, AI will replace software engineers in 6 months kind of viewpoint, is that maintaining apps is very difficult. And if you don't know what you're doing, it's going to be impossible, right? Like, having worked at companies, with lots of users and like performance critical systems and like systems that can't go down, like the idea of not knowing the code or the architecture, all that kind of stuff, just seems absolutely crazy. And I can't imagine, with the current state of the AI stuff, ever being in a situation where you're like, hey, let's just let the AI do everything. It will be an absolute disaster. And like all these examples I keep hearing of kind of, oh, we've built this entire product with just AI. Like, it's a product that has no users often, so it's easy to build a product with no users because there's no bugs, because no one uses it and no one knows what's wrong. So it's interesting. Like, there was the article where, what was it? Anthropic said they built a C compiler with just vibe coding and like $20,000 worth of API credits. But then when you look into it more, it's like, well, it doesn't actually work. Like, Hello World doesn't compile. It's still importing various other dependencies, all that kind of stuff. So there's lots of hype around this kind of stuff that I'm not entirely sure is quite there yet. But it's interesting, and the progress seems to be getting better. Like, I did think it was slowing down at one point and becoming like pretty incremental in terms of like the development. Didn't seem to be doing much improvement, but I think in the last few months, certainly on the coding side of things, it does seem to have got a lot better. How it will continue in the future, I guess we'll see. But in theory, I can see a future where it's vibe coding a lot, and that kind of becomes the pattern a lot more. I think it was it the Claude bot guy. He basically says he doesn't read code now; he just ships it, like, which is interesting. I guess it worked for him in terms of building Claude bot. I've not used it personally, but I've seen people use it, and the quality of it seems average at best. But he's gone to work at OpenAI, so he's obviously made a success of it, and thinks it's the future, I guess. So yeah, this is currently trying to get the models going. So what does it want to do? Let's have a look at the plan, shall we? So Whisper transcription is slow. NVIDIA's parakeet models offer significantly faster, high quality speech to text. The current code base hard codes Whisper engine, yeah, which it should not do. Yes, exactly. We do need to abstract it. So yeah, again, like using the spec-driven development, like one of the core principles is domain-driven design, but it totally ignored that and has hard-coded the Whisper-specific engine everywhere. So where have we got constitution here? Point 5, domain-driven design. Totally ignored that. Totally ignored TDD. Again, like it's very frustrating when you have all these rules and stuff that the model just totally ignores and does whatever it wants to do, basically. But it seems to have a decent plan here. So we're going to add the dependency of parakeet, define the transcription engine, yes, thank you. And that should replace all the Whisper engine stuff, yes, exactly. Extend model variant enum, yeah. Multi-file model downloads, I don't know exactly what that is, but yes. Add parakeet models to built-in registry. Yep, I'm fine with that. Update download model for multi-file downloads. Oh, okay, so I guess some of them are, yeah. Multiple files. Update set active model, yes. Update app state. Update. Okay, so it looks like adding this model is a huge change, which again kind of goes to show that what should have been a relatively easy change of just adding in a new engine has turned out to be a massive change because it's ignored all the stuff that we've asked it to do in terms of the like domain-driven design and stuff, and it just created a Whisper engine that is our only engine that's hard-coded all over the place. Which is not good and literally not what we asked for, nor is it in the Constitution to do this kind of stuff. Like there would need to be a transcription engine domain. I mean, it did build the directory structure based on domain-driven design. I was happy with that transcription, but it then just hard-coded in the Whisper engine. There should just be a transcription engine that, you know, implements stuff. So we'll see how it gets on. The plan seemed pretty good for fixing this kind of stuff, so we'll see. Okay, so now what do we do while it's vibing? Yeah, any more questions? Feel free to shout out in the chat and I'll answer them, or anything you want me to talk about, let me know. Anything you think I should add to the stream as well. So as I say, it's my second stream, so if anything's not quite correct, let me know. the window isn't quite correct yet. I couldn't get that working exactly perfectly, but I'll do some research after the stream on that one. So yeah, there was this interesting project that I saw in Hacker News the other day called Hack My Claw. Don't know if anyone else saw this. Classic vibe coded thing that doesn't actually work. But basically, this guy set up an instance of Claude bot that you could email and try and get it to reveal some secrets via prompt injection. No one succeeded at the moment, but it turns out that Claude bot has some kind of memory, so it was processing the emails in bulk and it knew that it was under attack and kind of locked itself down. So it's going to make some changes. But it was a super interesting project. And you can see people here, emailing what the subject is and then trying to get the secrets to be revealed based on some content of the email. Interesting project. It's one of these things that in this space of kind of the AI, the LLMs, things like Claude bot, super innovative, lots of ideas flying around. So yeah, he's now offering $300 reward. It was $100 the other day. He's now got a sponsor. AI-powered security fixes for your code. I'm sure that works exactly as expected. Yeah. Basically scanned your code for PII and keys and passwords and stuff. It's also, a good sign when your website is so slow that it doesn't actually load, but there we go. So it's running through this, and let's see what it does. So yeah, one thing I'm really terrible at actually with vibe coding is being disciplined with Git. It's basically all on one branch currently, the entire project. Not done any commits really, so we definitely need to get better at that as well. Do I think creating a workable app and read through the entire documentation for future maintenance requirement will be a good idea? I'm not entirely sure what you mean by that. Do you mean like if you create an application like what I'm building now, and then you have a document that kind of documents all the way that it works and all that kind of stuff, that will work for maintenance on the app with Claude and stuff? I don't know. I mean, the big thing that I found currently with Claude and all this kind of stuff is that, like, the context is the problem, right? When it doesn't have the context, it gets really confused and it does silly things. So you try and load in as much context as you can via things like the constitution file, via the prompting and saying like read these files, all that kind of stuff. So you could give it a document that outlines the architecture, all the changes, all that kind of stuff that you would want as context. And then it might be able to maintain the project better. It's difficult to know. Like, I think I'm still exploring what is good and bad in terms of vibe coding. So like I said, I use something called Specify to start off this project. So you get all these, like the constitution file with various rules. So like do TDD. Let me just cancel the UI for now. So you get like, all the rules like do TDD, be simple, type safety, convention over config, use domain-driven design, all these kind of things. And then you get your, where is it, tasks? Yeah, you get your tasks here, and like, the first thing it says is basically like, include constitution, principle number 1, do TDD. It has all its tasks and all that kind of stuff. But then the first thing it did was just start implementing everything, and it didn't do any of the testing. So I had to tell it, well, hold on a minute, you're not following the constitution. You need to do TDD. And obviously it wasn't doing domain-driven design. I didn't look at any of the code because that's part of the idea behind building these things, is that I shouldn't need to look at the code, right? Claude's meant to be the thing that's doing it and getting it all correct, but it just totally didn't follow any of those rules. So how you would get it to maintain a project, I don't know. You'd have to like read the entire project, which would burn through your context and burn through millions of tokens, and then even then it probably forget stuff and not understand it or do it wrong or just ignore certain things. So it's interesting to explore these things, and again, I think we're still quite far away from being able to one-shot these kind of things. But yeah, the big concern is like, how do you maintain all this stuff? How do you get it to work? Okay, let's try this. I don't think it's going to work because it looked like it was broken, but okay, so we've loaded up the models. Okay, so we've got Parakeet now as an option. Let's go for the smaller one because okay, so we've got an error straight away when we try and download it. Promise rejection. Yeah, okay, so download model, we get an error. When we try and download Parakeet, we get a promise rejection error on use models line 50. Okay, so let's see how it handles this. So again, I'm wondering how it's actually written test, or has it written any tests for that? Probably not. Test model download. I guess it's probably a UI error more than a back-end one potentially. So yeah, I'm currently streaming through OBS, and it does look like my stream is a bit slow compared to what I'm seeing here. Whether this is just delayed or not, I don't know. But as I say, still new to streaming, so trying to get used to all this stuff. So might be a bit behind on the comments and stuff. But please do reach out. Let me know if you're enjoying the stream. Got any questions? Let me know. So yeah, we're vibe coding a speech-to-text application. It's written in Rust using this Tory project that allows us to build cross-platform desktop applications. Front end is in React, I believe. And we're just trying to debug via Claude why we cannot download a new model, which is called Parakeet by NVIDIA, which is much quicker for the transcription. Because currently the transcription is just super slow using Whisper, which I believe is OpenAI's transcription model. To be fair, it's a very good model. I have used it in the past for a project I was building that didn't rely on kind of real-time stuff. It was pretty good, to be fair. But yeah, it is a bit slow. Which is strange to say that, you know, a model that can transcribe your text in a few seconds is slow, but this is the world we live in nowadays with AI, right? So yeah, it looks like it's just trying to work out exactly what's going on. The old file name was the serialized data. But wait, the actual problem is in the Rust command. Okay, so it's looking at what's going on. And as I say, part of this is not looking at the code and trying to not be a software engineer, I guess, be a prompt engineer and see how far we can get with these projects. And can we build a business? Can we make any money from these? How far away are we from being replaced as software engineers with becoming prompt engineers? So yeah, is anyone working as a software engineer at the moment that's using these tools in their job? I'd be interested to know about that. Currently don't work, so in between jobs and life at the moment. So I left when we were kind of in the early days of Copilot. I did use it a little bit at work, but it just kind of was a slightly more advanced autocomplete and was still generating absolute crap. So I didn't use it too much. But in the year and a half that I've not been working, I've seen the AI stuff kind of explode and get way better. So yeah, interesting to see whether people actually use it at work. Because again, I think with all these things, there's so much hype from the AI companies. You know, that like Windows is now 90% AI code and all this kind of stuff. But how true all that is, I don't know. Okay. All clean. Right, so the fixed download model is done apparently. Let's give it a go and see. Can we download? An error straight away. Okay, let's see. No, still get promise rejection. Do we get any errors in here? Let me restart it maybe, because maybe it didn't restart correctly or something. We'll give it a chance. And download. No. Oh, well, this seems to imply that it's downloading. But the UI doesn't display that it's downloading. We still get the error in the JavaScript. So I want to see whether it starts downloading model part 2 of the file. Because if it does, then it's downloading correctly, but the UI and stuff is not working correctly. Okay. So when we click to download Parakeet, the output says that it is downloading the model. The UI download button stays active, so we can still click it, and we still get the promise error in the console of the UI, and it doesn't seem to be downloading beyond the first file, so it looks like there's still a few issues with the downloading of Parakeet. Yes, so slow. Okay, so hopefully once we get Parakeet, we will be able to do it in near real time, which will be awesome. And we'll be close to being a bit functional of an application, I guess. Bum, 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 bum. So yeah, are there any AI tools that people are using that they find particularly useful? I'm only kind of using Claude Code and Claude at the moment, really. I don't really have a use for Claude Bot. I know it's the kind of hype thing at the moment, but I don't really have a use for a personal assistant. My life is not that complicated to need an AI assistant to manage stuff. But I'd be interested to know, what tools do people use? As I use Claude. I don't use any OpenAI stuff really. I haven't used ChatGPT in ages. I've tried some of the image generation stuff. So I was looking at making YouTube videos with AI kind of imagery and stuff. But it's very difficult to get it to generate anything that looks remotely decent. But again, I'll probably explore that a bit more with building some tooling around that, perhaps. Maybe we'll do that on stream as well as another product in the future. But yeah, I'd be interested to hear what tooling people are using, what AI stuff they find useful in their lives and work. So yeah, I mean, it seems to be file names. That seems like a bit of a dodgy one. So yeah, I think the fact that it's a multi-file download has really confused Claude here. And as I say, I'm not diving into the code. It's Rust as well, and I have never written any Rust code, so I wouldn't necessarily know how to fix it. And as I say, there's a lot of code already, and I've got no context on it because I haven't written a single line of this code. So yeah, which kind of does beg the question, what happens when we run into an issue that Claude cannot fix? I'm kind of stuck at that point. I'm going to be relying on my prompting skills to get Claude to fix it. Okay, so Claude thinks it's fixed for the third time. Is Claude correct or not? Let's have a look. Okay. What do we think? Think it's going to work? Let's give it a go. Okay, so the downloading icon works. We're getting the downloading files. It seems to be working. I think it would be much nicer to have a loading icon rather than like a progress bar rather than just a spinny wheel. So we can add that to our list of things to do. Oh, I don't know whether that's broken stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's okay. So it's still downloading. Okay, so it's downloaded. Lovely. Let's activate that model if we can then. So we are loading the parakeet engine. We've got no errors so far. Apparently it's loaded. Lovely. Let's give it a go then. Let's make the loading icon for when we download a model a progress bar rather than just a spinning icon, so we can see exactly what is actually happening. Okay, I mean, it worked. We've got a lot of gaps between the text. That might just be the way I was talking and the config of parakeet. Let's just give it a go again. Testing the output of parakeet. Yeah, okay, so I don't know why it's got those. Maybe that's just an input in the model. Let's go back to this one and then we can... The model download has worked and parakeet seems to work much faster than Whisper. The issue is, though, the output has gaps between all the words. So, for example, if I say testing, we will get test and then ing as separate words with spaces between them. Is this just model config or a quirk with the parakeet model? Yeah, so I mean, you can see the difference between the speed of them. Parakeet was much quicker. Oh. No, I killed Ghosty, apparently. It's not good, is it? Let me just brew update. What's the command I need to run? Upgrade Claude Code. Make this a bit bigger again so we can see. So yeah, whatever happened there just killed Ghosty. Not great at all. Oh, of course it's not running now, is it? Make it a bit bigger so easy to see. Parakeet now works correctly. Slight issue though is that the transcribed text has gaps between words. So if I say testing, we will get the word test, then a space, then ing. Is this just model config or is this just a quirk of Parakeet? So yeah, again, I don't know what Claude's going to do now because it's lost all the context of what it had. Yeah, I mean, so it's now searching for things like Parakeet, which is a bit of a pain. So we'll see. Yeah, anti-gravity. I've not used anti-gravity. That's the Google one, right? Yeah. Yeah, I've not used this one. I did use Cursor a bit, probably like 6 months ago. But again, I found it pretty slow and pretty crap as well. Like, one thing I found really frustrating with Cursor is that, like, the autocomplete was tab, and I'd hit tab, and it would autocomplete, and then it would jump to the next one, but it would be so slow that I'd then hit tab again, and it would just tab across. which I found really frustrating. So I would have to like wait for the tab, and I kind of found that while I was waiting for the tab, I could have just typed what I was trying to do, which was a bit frustrating. But maybe I'll give anti-gravity a go on stream, and we can see what it's like. Hugging face trap. I don't know what this is. AI. Okay, interesting. Yeah, I've never used this, never heard of it, to be honest, but I can give it a go at some point. Maybe we'll try on stream to build our next product in something like Tray. I don't know how to say it. Yeah, I mean, interesting. Like, I feel like there's a lot of IDEs and stuff that are coming out that are trying to be AI IDEs and stuff. I mean, I still don't quite understand how Cursor's got like a valuation of like a $5 billion or whatever, given it's just VS Code with some AI model autocomplete, but they have. So yeah, right. Not completely sure. Here's what happens. Okay, so saying use TDT model. Let's try that one then, shall we? So yeah, if that's the case, then we probably want to get rid of that model from our list because users won't know the difference, and they'll just see a crap experience when they do the text like I did. So if that's the case, we will get rid of that model from our selection. And I don't know what other models there are really. Like, I guess if Parakeet works, we can just keep with that one for now. If there's other models that people have used, let me know. Otherwise, we'll just stick with that one for now. Oh, I don't know whether that... Oh, I assume that just broke the UI rather than actually stopping it downloading. Oh, okay, so it's just cursor by ByteDance. Okay. Yeah. Anti-gravity with Codex as extension, yeah. Yeah, so again, with a lot of these things, it just seems like they're all the same project. It's just a different company's model. Yeah. It kind of feels like the days of front-end dev where there was a new React.js or Svelte or Vue every week, and that was going to be the thing that took over. They all did the same sort of things. So it feels very early days and so much innovation and copying as well. Like, yeah, if it's just Cursor by ByteDance with their models and some changes, it's kind of begs the question why use that one over another one, but who knows? Yeah. Okay, so anti-gravity seems to be one that people are using quite a lot then. So yeah, I'll give it a go at some point. Having said that, I mean, I'm not actually coding at the moment, so I don't need a smart IDE. If I start doing any coding on live stream, we'll do it with an IDE. Although, as I say, I haven't really coded in a few months, so I'll be very rusty. Okay, so I think it has actually downloaded yet. Okay, so there is that bug that if we go back to the menu and then back in, it doesn't show that it's downloading. So maybe we'll get that to fix that now. If we're downloading a model and then we go back to the main menu and then back to the models list, the downloading will not be shown on that model. It will just appear as though it's available to download, whereas we actually are downloading it. So we need to keep that state persistent regardless of whether we go back to main menu or back to models. That was probably a terrible explanation, but okay, so that was pretty quick. Yeah, and it's not got the issue of the gaps between words, so pretty happy with that. It's still not as quick as the, what was it, Super Whisper, was it? Yeah. I don't know what model that is. Can we see Parakeet multi-language? I assume that's the same model, to be honest. Models library. It's interesting that their model is only 500 megabytes and argmax, mine is like 4 gig. The on-device platform. Okay, interesting. So they're using this product. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of interesting. I wonder whether, okay, so Super Whisper has custom models, which is interesting. Also got Deepgram as well. Yeah, interesting. Lots of model options by the looks of it. I mean, they don't even offer Whisper by the looks of it, because it's probably not good enough. They're the language model. These are the voice models. Sorry, yeah. Yeah, they only offer. Okay, interesting. Yes, of course, you can have permission to edit the files. Okay, so is that one of the, yeah, I guess that's the advantage of using it, is you get the context save. Yeah, that is one of the most frustrating things about using it in the terminal like this, is the lack of context, I guess. Yeah. So yeah, maybe I can try using one of those IDEs. I guess you connect up to your particular model, yeah, like Codex or Claude. Okay, let me cancel this. Both should be fixed according to Claude. Okay, so let's try with the, I mean, I did download that model, so I don't, okay, yeah, so let's delete that model. Download. Oh, okay, so it didn't actually delete it, which is a bit annoying. Okay, so let's do, so, too quick. Okay, download. No, okay. Okay, yeah, so it's obviously cached the file somewhere, which for my use case is a little bit annoying, but it's not a big deal. I'll assume it's fixed for now. Okay. So I think we're kind of okay on the performance so far. Like when we use this parakeet, it seems pretty good. Yeah, whether that's done or not, I don't know. Okay, let's do this one now. Add the menu icon. Let's also please add a menu icon in the top taskbar on the Mac for showing recording and the various options of the application. Yeah, I mean, so it's definitely quicker. I think Super Whisper is still way quicker though, right? Even though apparently we're using the same model. So what was this one? I think it's command space. Let's also please add a menu icon in the top taskbar on the Mac for showing recording and the various options of the application. Yeah, I mean, look, that's way quicker than what we have currently. And yeah, so whatever this argmax is obviously adds a lot of performance and smaller models as well, which is interesting. Okay, so they're probably using this model here then, Parakeet Real Time. What's our model? Okay. For the models and hotkey menu items, should clicking them navigate to the main window to that page? Should clicking them navigate to the main window to that page, or you prefer they just open the main settings window? Yeah, let's just go to that page. Yeah, go ahead, Claude. So yeah, maybe next thing we'll do is we'll get it to use this model instead and see if that's any quicker. It's certainly a smaller model. So yeah, I'm guessing this is the one that's currently using multi-talker. Because I don't know where this getting this naming from. Anyway, we'll try the new model after we've done this particular feature. Okay, so let's download anti-gravity. Maybe we can give that a go in the next stream. And do people use Gemini or Claude Code or Codex for coding? Do people have like a preferred model, or do people try all of them? I've only really used Claude Code. It's just Codex and IDE as well then, or it's just an app that you can talk to? Okay, interesting. Okay, so you can download an app or use it in your IDE. Okay. So we'll get the icon, and then we will add in the new model, give that a go, see what it's like. But yeah, so far, like it's, I guess, yeah, sure. It's pretty impressed so far with what it's been able to build. Like, how long is this stream? 3 hours. So we're on like 5 hours of vibe coding, and we have an app that kind of works, right? I mean, it doesn't look great. Sure, there's lots of bugs and stuff. Definitely not like production ready, but we do have something. Okay, I mean, there's no icon whatsoever in the taskbar that I can see. Unless I'm just not seeing it. Let me get rid of stats. Maybe it's oh, there we go. Oh, okay, so it, oh, okay, nice. So we do have that. Set the models and it goes, okay, that's, yeah, nice. Okay. Let's now, Codex is a plugin for VS Code. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So yeah, I'll experiment with all of them on stream. I guess we can try various ones for upcoming projects and stuff and see what they are like. Right then. Let's please add this new parakeet model, as it seems to be the best one so far. So yeah, I guess like if you're writing code and stuff using a IDE with Codex and all that kind of stuff makes a lot of sense. As I say, I'm trying to just do no code, well, no writing code and just vibing, which, yeah, I guess makes it easy to just use a CLI. But yeah, we can try with the ID in another one. It'll probably make it easier as well, and certainly give me more context, because like at the moment, when Claude's just churning away, I don't even look at anything basically. Like I've occasionally looked at these files, but I've not actually read any of the code. As I said, I don't know Rust, so I have no context of what this code is doing, the structure of it really. I told it to use DDD, it didn't. We've kind of got a little bit better for the transcription engine, but still not perfect. So yeah, but I think, I mean, ultimately the best workflow is a combination of you coding plus the AI coding as well. But can we vibe code products quickly, make them production ready, get them out there, get people using them, and even get people paying for them? Who knows? Unlikely. And apparently I'm nearly at the session limit, so it's probably a good time to call the stream in a little bit, especially as my voice is getting a little bit hoarse. But we'll see. We'll add this model, we'll see what it performs like, and then we can go from there. But yeah, I just feel so awkward when Claude's doing all my work for me. I'm just sat here twiddling my thumbs. Makes me feel very lazy. Okay, yeah, so these are our models. It doesn't actually go anywhere. Okay. Still working through adding that model. I'm surprised adding the model has taken so long, to be honest, because I would have thought it was just a case of adding a transcription model to the list. Obviously not. Again, one thing I need to get way better at is actually using Git and committing and doing all that kind of stuff, because currently I've just got the entire project in one commit. I blame Specify for that. And overall, Specify was good to start off with, but it really fell down when we're trying to fix bugs and kind of incrementally enhance stuff. It doesn't seem to have a clean workflow for that. So yeah, I'd be interested to know what people's workflows are as well with like vibe coding stuff, or just like AI assisted coding. So when I was doing it in the past, like I'd be writing code and then I'd like ask Claude to do something for me, or like talk to Claude about the way of writing a function or something like that. I wouldn't just prompt it and then get it to spit out loads of code and then assume the code is correct, which is obviously what we're doing at the moment. Okay, so let's try this new model. Oh, we can quickly test that feature as well. Okay, so that feature worked. I mean, the UI is still not perfect, but at least we still know we're downloading. Okay. Again, UI is low on the list of stuff to fix at the moment. We'll make it look nice at some point in the future. So it's downloading. And yeah, also, I mean, hitting the limit of your Claude as well is quite frustrating. I have had it in the past as well. Like when I was on the lowest tier they offered, you know, I would ask it to do something and it would just totally do something else, or like spend ages reading the context, and then it go, oh, by the way, you've hit your limit, and I'm like, well, I haven't actually done anything yet. So that can be quite frustrating as well. But on the higher limit, this is the first time I've ever got near to hitting the limit for a session. I think we were like 3 hours in. Yeah, 3 hours in. So it's not great if you've only got like 3 hours of work and then you hit the limit and you're stuck at that point. Okay, so it's finished downloading that. UI is still not perfect there. Okay, so we'll activate that model. Okay, testing the latest model to see how quick it is. Okay, I mean, that was way quicker, but we got no recording, so that's not great. Testing the model to see how quick we are. Okay. Testing the model. Yeah, okay, so that's now broken. Let's activate this one and see if that works. Testing the model. Okay, so that works. So the new real-time model doesn't seem to record and output the transcript text. We just get nothing. Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. Like, it probably is slower, but if you actually want to read the code and see what's going on, then yes, I totally agree with you. Definitely keep supervising and seeing what's going on and committing often. I'm not doing any of those things. This is more of a, can I vibe code without reading the code or doing anything at the moment? But we'll probably change towards that. We'll probably, like, this is an extreme end of the kind of the workflow, I guess. And I imagine it will gradually move towards more of a supervisory, reading the code, checking stuff's working correctly mode, committing often mode, rather than just kind of trying to one-shot stuff, which is what I'm currently trying to do. But yeah, we're exploring, seeing how stuff works while building products. So. But yeah, I mean, it also means, like, if you're having to supervise it as well and read the diffs and all that kind of stuff, you still do need to know how to code, which is the big caveat, right? Like, obviously, if you don't know what you're doing, you can't read the code and understand what's going on. Like, you can only get so far, and that's kind of one of the big limitations. And it's why I'm not worried at the moment about the software engineers will be replaced in 6 months, because it's just unrealistic. I think unless there's a massive, massive leap in the way that they all work, all these models work, and like their context and their ability to do that kind of stuff, we're still very far away. The way that we software engineers work may change. We may become more prompters per se and supervisors. But yeah, currently can't see it happening. Right, let's have a go then. Testing the transcription of the latest model. Okay, I mean, it worked, I guess. Testing the transcription of the latest model. It's slow though. Yeah, okay. The latest model is slower than the TDT model. We also get a weird behavior of the text being joined by underscores. Okay, I mean, that's way slower. So yeah, that is the same model that they're using here, right? I mean, it doesn't say what the model is called, which is unhelpful, but there's Parakeet v3. Oh, maybe that's not the right model then. Yeah, so I guess it's, yeah. I guess we want the latest model would be my assumption, but yeah, who knows? Well, I guess maybe we can try using the, what is this? Arg Magic. Maybe we can add that in the next stream and see whether that is quicker. We'll see what Claude's got to say. Web boundary, speed behavior, streaming architecture, small chunks sequentially. Okay. Well, let's see what it says about Super Whisper with argmax, shall we? Let's put it back to the quicker model that we have, which is that one, I believe. Wow, that's taking a long time to load. Okay, that's loaded. Right. Okay, thanks. So how does Super Whisper use Parakeet multi-language with a tool called argmax to do basically super, super quick transcription? It's basically real time. Like as soon as it stops recording, the transcript is pasted into the terminal. Let's see what it says, shall we? Yeah. Yes, you can search for argmax. Yes, super interesting, this kind of vibe coding stuff. But obviously it shows the difference of like vibe coding a little thing versus building like a fully polished product, right? Super Whisper, super quick. I mean, it's literally super quick transcription. I mean, it's basically real time, right? Whereas ours seems to be super slow. Let's get commercial and closed source. So maybe it will work out. Okay, so it's got proprietary compression. Yeah, I'm not sure that streaming is really what we want for this. I guess what we can look at next stream is adding in the argmax SDK and just seeing if that works. Makes it much quicker. Obviously, if we want to turn this into a real product, we'll have to pay them for that, but I can't imagine that we will end up doing that, basically. If we do, it's $1.33 a month per device, but we'll stick with open source for that. Okay, I think I'm going to go ahead and end the stream now. Thank you very much for watching. I should be streaming again tomorrow, similar time. Please do join me if you've enjoyed this, and thanks for watching. Catch you guys later. Bye.